you know, I want to take this moment to first pimp you out, Frodan, because you're a pretty amazing person, and I know you have some social media out there in the world that people can follow you. Where can they look?
Oh, thank you, Gretorp. You can follow me just on Twitter at twitter.com/Frodan, and that's pretty much it. Like, I post everything through that, and I'm not gonna bombard you with like a bunch of links, and that's pretty much it. The best you can do is follow me. And I mean, but I want to toss it right back at you, Gretorp, because you've done so much work for NASL, and you're the one who deserves all the accolade. I'm just a guest, man. You're the host, so the party is all yours, man.
Well, you can find me on Twitter and Facebook, twitter.com/Gretorp and facebook.com/GretorpTV, switching it up. You can also find me streaming. I'm actually going to start up a daily pretty soon. I'm just gonna titillate you with that, but just know it's basically going to be free coaching. It's going to be an impromptu type of session, but I'm going to be mimicking a little bit of the Day 9 dailies, a tiny bit. It's a 2-hour session where I'll be coaching people, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll do different days where it's like the lower level, so gold, platinum, that's like Elliot's leagues around there, and then I'll do another day when it's like, or excuse me, gold, silver around there, bronze, all of that, and then platinum, diamond, and then masters, grandmasters. So stay tuned for that because it's going to be coming out, Gretorp TV, that I'll be giving everything away. It'll be sexy stuff, man.
It'll be awesome, man. I've only the highest expectations, so we'll see what actually happens. But in the meantime, Gretorp and I will still be here casting this awesome game between Polt Prime and Polt TSL Polt. I'm reading his name. It's his old account, of course. Polt left Prime and joined TSL, and Hart is no longer with TSL. So we have two Terrans duking it out here on a Belshire Beach Winter. Now, TVT still is pretty much in a very interesting spot. Lots of different build orders, but eventually it comes down to two different styles, whether or not you want to go for more of that mech style, you want to go for more of that mobility bio style. So, you know, Gretorp, why don't you talk a little bit about that dynamic on a map like Belshire Beach?
Belshire Beach, I think it lends itself more towards going for that bio style, just because we have two different unique paths that you can go towards. But, you know, maybe transitions into the mid game or even late game can be very strong, just because if you clamp down in your position, you can easily start going up lanes with obviously Hellion and Siege Tank. You don't need to actually like slowly siege up, just because the strength of Siege Tank plus Hellions plus Thors become really strong at that stage. So I think both styles can be used. I'm just really interested how they'll actually play it out, because for now it looks like we're just going to have very different early aggressive builds, with Polt actually going for some sort of, it looks like, Reactor Hellion type of opening into Banshee, probably Cloak Banshee, and then of course we have the more standard style where we have a fast expansion on gas and then straight up go into tech.
Yeah, I like this a lot from Hart, just being able to get out your expansion early, but you know, he is going to follow up. He does have, you know, he does have second gas also, so he's just a little bit behind in terms of his tech, but he's still doing a very good job keeping up economically, and you just have that ability to replace your SCVs and get double mules. So it looks like both players are relatively even right now, just Hart going up for that fast command center. First Hellion out here for Polt, and he is going to meet a wall of Marines. Now, the way the Marines are positioned makes him think that there's going to be an expansion, and it looks like right now, though, he doesn't know that Hart's actually doing a very similar build to him.
Interesting. Polt is actually not going for Banshee, and you can see, look at that, how much gas is actually saved up right here. This is really weird, and let me talk about that real quick. We see 260 gas, just to let you know, per minute. You only get 120 gas per gas. 120 gas per gas. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
For a total of 240 gas per minute. So he has a full minute where he has gas and he's not really using it whatsoever. That leads me to think that he's doing some sort of weird build. There you go. He's actually putting on Ticklop in both the starport and the factory. So it might be some sort of Raven. I'm just not sure yet. I have no clue what our opponent is doing over here. But Hart, in the meantime, he's just playing super defensive, getting his SCV count up as fast as possible. You can see the Harvester disparity is starting a little bit, and additionally, you will have that second mule to work with.
Yeah, you know, Polt actually scouts no expansion, so he actually made a Viking out of that that starport with the tech lab because he expects something out of his opponent. But the fact is, both players are being really defensive. We do see Cloak actually started for Heart though, and the Marines are immediately starting to rain fire onto those supply depots. Heart under some minor pressure here, but nothing of too actual consequence. Probably will pick off the supply depot.
Wow, and the Hellions are able to actually get in there. But the Spite Eagle will go down. Sorry.
No, you're absolutely correct, man. Those Hellions do change up a lot of the early game skirmishes, Gretorp. And I think right now, Heart, he should be okay, but I mean, I like this pressure by Polt, but both players are actually going for Cloak right now, so it's going to be a very interesting dynamic going to a couple of minutes from here.
Definitely. You can see the siege tank is being fired upon, but nothing of real consequence is going to happen. It's just this light pressure that we see time and time again. Right now, Polt does have the small lead in terms of supply, but his opponent obviously has that command center that's coming out quite a bit. His supplies can be freed up. This is going to be very tense, but I think overall, Heart should be able to stabilize the first Banshee, making its way all the way over to his opponent's base. Cloak is almost finished for him. And look at this, he already has a Viking out, so Polt is a little bit ready. No turret actually gets popped just yet, but here we go.
Oh, looks like the Banshee does end up cloaking, and he's going to start wailing on the Mule. Very good job to target that first. Looks like the Banshee... Oh, no, actually he stopped because he realized that Mule's going to die anyways. And looks like he's just going to start harassing immediately. Now, we do see that Polt is trying to frantically chase it down, but is just trying to make sure to prevent it so that turret gets up in time. In the meanwhile, he is transitioning. He's finally going to start his command center a little bit, or actually a lot later than that, of Heart. And Heart is actually placing a couple more barracks, so... some minor harass, but I like that Heart is not overextending his Banshee and didn't lose it, and he's just going to send it on home.
Yeah, now, why, you know, Heart's going to be able to deal with this Banshee a lot more effective than his opponent because there's a lot of scans saved up in both of his command centers. That's the strength of it all. Right now, you can see that, oh, actually, the Banshee is going to be cloaked into here. Now, he is going to give a scan. One Viking isn't actually enough to actually kill this Banshee, so he can obviously get out of here. That's not the best position. Ooh, but the other Banshee actually got picked off. A little bit of a miss micro from TSL Heart, or TSL Polt, and unnecessarily losing that Banshee is definitely going to cost him in this game.
Oh yeah, no, that's a great point there, just because you want to keep everything. Oh, the turret and the Viking volley does end up getting that second Banshee. Now that's actually really big because that's a lot of gas and minerals that's lost there in the army, which could be in Polt. Now he's actually pushing with Marines and 2 tanks here, but at the same time, there's 3 siege tanks here for Heart, so I don't think Polt can really break through it. And I really would advise otherwise, but looks like he's still intent on making this work some way, somehow, Gretorp.
He's going to Elevator most likely. Let's see what he actually starts with, because he could start with the tanks or he could start with the Marines. Remember, the Marines take a lot longer to actually put down. So I think maybe going with the tanks first. It only takes 2 rounds, obviously, for them, and then putting the Marines down. But no, he's going to put the Marines down. That's going to give a little bit of indication, possibly. Ooh, there's a little bit of black spot. Maybe he's going to be able to put these down without Heart knowing what's going on. And look at that. The siege tanks aren't actually being replaced over here or moved over here. That's going to be a big problem. It gives a lot of positioning over to Polt.
Yeah, no, these tanks that are failing to reposition is very, very key indeed, just because Polt is now able to hit the supply line. Now, keep in mind, there's a couple things like barracks are actually starting to die, but these Banshees from Heart are trying to sandwich, and looks like Heart trying to make sure to get the good position. He's pulling his SCVs as well and trying to really get a good engagement. The tanks finally come in, and Polt all of a sudden loses a lot of his siege tank army, so he should be able to clean up the rest, but he did lose a lot of SCVs in order to make that attack work.
Amazing play by Heart, just cleaning up everything. I love that little attack on the left-hand side. Yeah. And that should be the key for him to actually go and push forward, or at least take a little bit of map control. Make sure your opponent knows that you're on the way over, and that'll make him either, you know, possibly SCV cut. It does scramble it. It messes up with your opponent's mind. That's the most important thing. If you can break your opponent mentally, that's a really good advantage, obviously, going into the later stages of the game. But right now, Heart is just going to stay a little bit more defensive. I would have loved him to push out, obviously, right here, taking the advantage in not only space, but just flexing your muscles a little bit, knowing that you have the higher siege tank count. Maybe do the exact same thing to your opponent, but he's not going to do that. And Polt are going to go in for some multi-pronged aggression. with the 2 Banshees coming at the natural and the main.
Yeah, so he's going to try to see if he can just continue to harass. No doubt Polt knows he's pretty behind economically. 33 SCVs to 47, although some of those numbers are starting to be controlled. The Banshee does barely get out, but the follow-up scan does end up taking out the rest of its HP. Polt still incessantly harassing Hart, and you know, this is what he needs to do, but he has to make sure to protect these Banshees because he's invested so much into them, and definitely needs to protect them as best as he can, because right now, as again, if you're trying to harass to get yourself back into the game and you end up losing those units, you just get further behind Gretorp. So
definitely.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, he has the magic number of 3 Vikings. That's the minimum amount you need in order to always pick off a Banshee, so long as the scan is good, but you can always pick off a Banshee if it's cloaked with 1 single scan. So having the 3 Vikings out is very important in this game. See, now finally he's going to go and take some map control. I like it. I like it a lot. And as I said, just flex up a little bit. Kind of show your siege tank count and say, I got this, BZ, and I can do whatever I want. Now these Viking, or excuse me, the Medivacs, they're going to be picked off over here. I love what he's doing. This is exactly what you have to do when you have the siege tank count advantage, is really punish your opponent for not being able to cover as much area. And obviously this is the strength of Belshir Beach and higher tank count.
Yeah, and you know, he's going to be able to really push himself in, and when you have that tank advantage, you're not able to do anything. Oh, the Raven does get sniped here, and that's actually a pretty good play here from Hart, and that starport actually might die as well, and looks like it's going to be very, very close, but the starport, it does end up dropping Gretorp. That's actually very, very big.
That's gigantic. Now he has taken air control easily. Like, there's no way that it can be contested for air control for a good 3 to 4 minutes, and that's why I think siege tanks should just be made incessantly. We should have just constant factory production. Not only that, I would love if he actually went 2 or 3 factories higher now. Well, up to 2 factories or to 3 factories. But here we go. The engagement has started. Let's look at upgrades. 1-0 against 1-0, but there's just not enough there for Polt. And now finally the siege tanks are going to siege up over here, defending that position. Remember, you know, Hart still has that bottom ground advantage. It's kind of weird to say. Has that bottom ground advantage and can easily elevate her up into this top.
Yeah. Oh, big damage being done onto these Marines, which don't have stim, by the way, Gretorp. Polt's stim was actually canceled because of that siege tank volley on the low ground, and that's why he can't actually fully engage, and his Marines can't do anything. Good game is called, and it looks like Hart will take game number 1 away from Polt, who was a GSL champion at one point, so this is a very strong win in a best-of-3 series for him.
So sick, man, and that's, I mean, it was 1 base, really, really heavy play against obviously a defensive 2 base. That's why normally on maps like this, like Belshir Beach, where the travel distances are a little bit longer, you will see that 2 base is going to be much stronger than 1 base play.
Yeah.
And obviously, Polt executed that really nicely. He had a lot of early game pressure, killed off a barracks and a reactor, but still it wasn't enough, and Hart was able to overcome that early game aggression. So, do you have any last thoughts about that?
No, man, I just think overall Polt just lost too much and wasn't effective with those Banshees, and I hope if he chose to pull out something similar that he'll be more effective next time as we go into game number 2.
All right, so let's go ahead and get there after this break. LOL, everybody. We'll catch you when we get back.